Hello children, welcome to class. Biology class. Till yesterday we have studied types of blood and types of fluids that are present in the blood and what is blood and how the circulatory system works, functions and what are the organs involved in the circulatory system. And blood is one of the tissue, that is connective tissue, present in the human body. Not only the human body, that is living animals, that is living animals. So let's see what are the properties of blood. So blood, it is never stationary, that is it will not stay in one place. Blood is always in motion from heart to the arteries and back through the veins. That means it will flow throughout the body. And then color. The color is somewhat thick fluid, bright red when it taken from artery and dark red when it taken from vein. That is why it appears blue and red. See, when you walk or run or do exercise in hot sun, how your face will be? It will become dark red. Or same thing you do in very cold places or in winter season. So the automatically your face or body will change into blue because of this bright and dark red color through the veins and bright red from the arteries. And volume. And average adult human has 5 to 6 liters by the volume in his body. So average human adult have 5 to 6 liters. And taste. Taste is we all have tasted it, right? So it tastes saltish. The blood is slightly alkaline because the pH of blood is 7.3 to 7.45. Next, functions of blood. The main function of blood in our body is transportation and protection. So transportation involves transport of digested food, transport of oxygen, transport of carbon dioxide, transport of excretory material, distribution of hormones, distribution of heat, transport of digested food. The food that is digested, that enters into the cell, that enters into the blood and then cell performs, releases energy. Transport of oxygen. Blood is having a high affinity to combine with oxygen, thus form. Blood contain a pigment called hemoglobin. Blood contain a pigment called hemoglobin. So oxygen combines with hemoglobin, forms oxyhemoglobin. And transport of carbon dioxide. So once the oxygen is utilized, that means oxygen mixes with the blood, then the rest carbon dioxide is transported out through the cells and then that is exhaled out. And transport of excretory materials like sweat, urine and then urea from the body through kidneys. And hormones, those are endocrine glands, secreted by the endocrine glands, which involves in the metabolic process. And heat, distribution of heat. So blood maintains a constant temperature until and unless if any infection causes. So it maintains a constant temperature. It gives temperature to the body. Protection. How blood protects the body. Blood forms a clot and clot serves to prevent the loss of blood from the body. Blood usually releases blood cells releases fibers, that is fibrinogen, a protein from the blood that releases and that will form a thread and that will stop the loss of blood from the body. And blood prevents the entry of germs because blood contains a blood cells, lymphocytes, which fights against the germs. It also gives protection against the disease causing agents like bacteria, viruses. That is why we should eat nutritional food, so that we'll get nutritions and the blood will have capacity to fight against the diseases. White blood cells of blood give protection against the diseases by engulfing the germs, that is swallowing the germs. Blood produces antitoxins and antibodies, that is which neutralizes the poisonous material which is present in the body. Next, composition of blood. That means, what is the composition of blood? Blood consists of plasma and cellular elements. Blood consists of plasma and cellular elements. Cellular plasma is a slight yellow color liquid. It consists of water, proteins and inorganic salts and other substances. Cellular elements of blood are categorized into red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Red blood cells are also called erythrocytes. White blood cells are also called lymphocytes. Platelets are called thrombocytes. Red blood cells are also called erythrocytes. These are minute biconcave disc-like structures, and they are flat in the center and thick and rounded at the periphery, that is surrounding, that is surface, surface it is rounded. They are very small, about 7 microns in diameter. So this is why these are red blood cells are very small, right? Small in size. Thus, its size enables the red blood cells to travel through the capillaries in the body. Next, an adult human male has 5 million RBC. An adult human male has 5 million RBC. An adult female has slightly less, about 4.5 million RBC. And we discussed that hemoglobin, that is what? A respiratory pigment which gives color to the blood. Hemoglobin is formed of an iron containing part. Iron containing part is what? Hemin. And a protein containing part is globin. That is why it contains iron and protein, hemoglobin. Thus it forms hemoglobins, which is a respiratory pigment, and it is red in color. It has the ability to combine with oxygen. So the combination hemoglobin, when it combines with oxygen, forms oxyhemoglobin, and it is a unstable compound which readily gives up oxygen to the needy tissues. Wherever the tissues need oxygen, hemoglobin supplies oxygen to that tissue. Hemoglobin has a very strong affinity for carbon monoxide to form a stable compound. So in the previous slide we have discussed it is an unstable compound when it mixes with oxygen. But it forms a stable compound when it mixes with carbon monoxide. RBCs are produced in bone marrow. So where these RBCs are produced, they born in bone marrow. In an embryo, they produced in the liver. In an embryo, RBCs produced in the liver and spleen. But the mature red blood cells have no nuclei. Only the small young red blood cells will have a nucleus. The lifespan of RBC red blood cells is about 120 days. The old and weak red blood cells are destroyed in the spleen, liver and bone marrow. Next, white blood cells. White blood cells are leukocytes. Number is much less, usually about 4,000 to 8,000 per meter of blood. Based on shape and other characteristics, the white blood cells are classified into granular and non-granular. The WBC, so what are the types of white blood cells? Granular and non-granular. The white blood cells are produced in the bone marrow of nodes, and RBCs are also produced in the bone marrow, and WBC are also produced in the bone marrow, lymph nodes, and even in the liver. Their average lifespan is about 2 weeks. White blood cells average lifespan is 2 weeks, but red blood cells their lifespan is 120 days. Next, so lymphocytes are categorized, again divided into two types, that is granular and non-granular lymphocytes. So regarding this granular and non-granular lymphocytes, we'll study in detail in the next class. Okay, thank you children.